Right. There we
Perfect.
go. I think we're recording. Hey, hi guys, it's Angel from the Academy Presents Real Estate Investing Rocks, and I've got Misty Flanagan with us today, and
Hi,
she is going to be stepping us through the process of running an awesome marketing campaign, because who doesn't need some help with that, right?
right,
And if
right.
you're amazing at it, let me know because I'm going to bring you on.
Yes, let's learn more. I love learning from other
Absolutely.
people, so that's
All right.
awesome.
So
Cool.
Misty is out of Houston,
Yes,
and I know that they've got a development arm of their firm, and they do
yes.
some other stuff. But I've been watching the amazing things you're doing on the development side, and that's pretty awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, but we're based in Houston and I do development, I do wholesaling. I mean, we're doing all kinds of things here. So it's pretty exciting. Been really a lot of fun. So I'm super excited to be invited back, by the way. Thank you so much. I had a blast last time. So this is really cool. I'm so pumped.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen and we'll go ahead and get going. Oh, it said host disabled participants.
Oh my goodness, why does it do that? Who can start
Zoom.
sharing? Okay, try again.
Okay. Let's see. There we go. Now I got to remember to see if I share the right one.
Yeah, I think I missed a setting somewhere when I was set, because every single time it does that. So there's something I have missed somewhere.
Oh, yeah. All right. Looks like we're good to go. Hopefully everybody can see. So Angel, you'll throw the questions at me, right? Because I can't really see the chat when I share my screen. So
Yes, let me make sure I can see it. So I'm going to pull up the chat again. And if you've got questions, you can put them in chat or you can put them in the Q&A. I can see both of those.
Perfect. So, awesome. Thank you for helping me with that. So
awesome.
Okay, guys. So as Angel said, my name is Misty Flanagan. I've been a full-time real estate investor for almost 4 years now. Yes, we're based out of Houston. Most of the investing we do is here in Houston. I am co-founder in Elevated Development. That was the development company that she was referring to. We're building a bunch of townhomes here in Houston. We're super excited about. Guideway Investment Partners is the company that I do all my wholesaling through, and we're actually going to try to start building a rental portfolio this year. So I'm super pumped about that. The Women's Real Estate Investor Alliance is an organization that I started with another female investor. We're at about 2.5 years old. We have an amazing group, and yeah, it's just a great group of women that lift each other up, and we try to learn from each other. And then Level Up Remodeling is another company that I co-founded that is a turnkey investor-focused rehab company. And I'm actually going to talk a little bit about that in the presentation as an example to explain a little bit about the differences between active and passive investing. So anyways, that's just a little bit about me. Let's get to the good stuff. So marketing campaigns, okay, they seem to be like they would be the most simplest thing in the world. Just pick a campaign and go, right? Well, if you are anything like me, you've probably done multiple marketing campaigns and not all of them have been successful. And some of them have just fallen flat on their face. And you're probably going, why? Somebody told me it was just that easy to go cold call or door knock or send direct mail. So, you know, when you look back at your marketing campaigns and everything like that, I call it the overwhelm of choosing a marketing campaign because there are so many out there. And these are just a few that I know offhand, you know, bandit signs, cold calling, SEO, MLS, Facebook ads, driving for dollars, door knocking, and networking. I'm sure there's probably a million more that I don't even know about, but these are the most common. And the key thing is trying to establish which marketing campaigns actually help you facilitate your business and reach your goals. So that's what we're going to go into. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up that this is going to be a little bit of a different presentation. And we're going to obviously focus on marketing campaigns, but I really want to talk about the mindset side of it, behind it basically, because that is what will make a marketing campaign successful. It's so important, and I don't think that we talk enough about it. So I hope that's okay. That's going to be part of today's topic, right? Wouldn't you agree, Angel?
Oh,
that
sure.
Is like it's so easy to send yellow letters, but then when you don't get a response, you don't get a call, or the calls you're getting are leave me alone. I'm not like. There's just so much mindset in it that nobody really addresses, and I feel like that's when marketing campaigns fail. is when you give up, right? And when you, oh, I can't do this and all of that. So that's
well,
kind of,
it goes back to that idea of people don't ever really stress that the importance of starting with the mindset.
absolutely. And that's what that is the big topic of today. So yes, marketing campaigns, but the big topic of today is the mindset behind, actually structuring your mindset correctly to then, launch your marketing campaign successfully. So it's going to be exciting. I'm excited to share with you guys. Okay, so step one is to determine what kind of investor you want to be. So most are either a residential investor or a commercial investor, and a lot of people actually do both. So that's the first thing, and we're going to touch on what this means. So if you're not really familiar with either or with both, we're going to touch on that. And then the next thing you need to determine is if you're an active investor or a passive investor. So an active investor is more boots on the ground. You're the one door knocking. You're the one making cold calls. You're the one flipping. Passive might be more you've invested funds into a project and you just kind of sit back and you're waiting for the returns, right? You're not really actively involved. And so there's great ways to determine which type of investor you want to be. Obviously, if you have a lot of time, an active role would be great. If you have more money and maybe not a lot of time, passive is definitely more of a route to go. Maybe real estate is not like a passion of yours, right? You just want this little side business to build this awesome, retirement fund or whatever it is for you, or create a fund for travel or just something like that. But you don't actually want to be like in it, swinging hammers and making cold calls and all of that. So there's a very big difference between active and passive. And then also some of the worlds can collide. And we're going to talk a little bit about that when we go into the differences between residential and commercial. So these are some examples of residential investing. So when you're thinking about what you want to do, wholesaling is one. I do a lot of wholesaling. It's when you get a property under contract and then you actually find a buyer that you assign the contract for, and you make what's called an assignment fee. So it's kind of I don't know if you want to call it quick and dirty way, because it requires a lot of work and effort actually to be a wholesaler, but it doesn't require a lot of capital, and you don't have to wait for the flip to be over and for it to sell, right? You're just assigning the contract and you get paid a fee for that. So that's definitely very active. Building a rental portfolio, that's also can be very active. You can find properties from other people. You can also launch your own. You can be an active investor where you property manage your own properties, or you can be more passive where you hire a property management company to do that. Single family residential builder, that is some of what elevated development does. You could build custom homes, you could build, subdivisions, you could just, townhomes, which is what we're building, all of that stuff. So there's different avenues there. And again, you can actively be the one building, or you could passively invest in those projects. We have tons of passive investors that really don't have anything to do in real estate other than they have invested funds into our projects. Airbnb, as an example, short-term rentals, right? There's a bunch of different ones out there now. I would say that's more active as well, unless you're hiring a company to manage your Airbnbs for you. It's a great opportunity. We did some Airbnb rental investing when we lived in Austin. We actually rented out part of our condo, and it helped us pay rent. It was awesome, and it was a lot of fun too. And then obviously flipping, right? Flipping or rehabbing properties. Now I had to put like a big giant X through the HGTV, because if you're getting into this thinking that you're going to be an HGTV show and it's going to be all great and fun, and I mean, it is fun, but super easy and like the show, then I'm sorry, but I got to give you a really big reality check right now. It is nothing like the shows. Yeah. It is a lot of fun. But yeah, it's nothing like the shows. So don't base it off that, and definitely know what you're doing or partner with somebody that knows what they're doing. Because I've seen a lot of rehabs go terribly wrong because you don't know how to manage subs, you over rehab, so you lose money, those sorts of things. Again, with the flip and rehab, you can be more active where you're going to be the one, you could be the one swinging the hammer. You could be the one managing the subs. You can be the, all of that, or you could be more passive, which is what the investors use Level Up Remodeling for. When I say turnkey, I mean that we take it cradle to grave. So we're the ones getting the permits. We're the ones hiring and managing the subs. We're the ones managing the rehab. We're, doing the design, all of that. So again, those worlds can collide where you could be a little more active, or you could be a little bit more passive, or you could do a little bit of both in there. So is there any questions that popped up about residential?
So Marcella just said she's in Austin, and if you ever need anything, she would love to help you.
Hey, awesome. Thank you. I would love that.
Yeah, and just what I know of Marcella, they've got 32 units. Yeah, and I'm thinking they're in Austin. They had some in other areas, but they've been kind of divesting those and focusing more in the Austin area. I think, Marcella, if I have that wrong, please let me know.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Marcella. I appreciate that. Yeah, we did some flips in Austin when we lived there, and obviously we had the Airbnb, and now our primary focus is on Houston, but I would love to get back into that market at some point. You need reliable boots on the ground. If I know anything, I know that. So that's
She said I had it right. So.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. So okay to move on to commercial investing then, I think. Yeah, cool.
I think so.
Okay, awesome. All right, commercial investing. So this is more on the side of multifamily, maybe some retail, office space, that sort of thing. People do what's called syndicated deals, where you could be a sponsor of a deal and you're actually going and finding the deal. So that's where you're active. If you're the one getting out there, I'm going to find a multifamily and then I'm going to bring it to this group where they're going to invest money into it. And those people that are investing money into it are more passive. Okay. So a lot of commercial investing, I would say, is more on the passive side, just my opinion. And so some examples of that is obviously multifamily, office space, retail space. Self-storage is a wonderful commercial investing opportunity because there's very little that you have to do to a storage facility. There's not a lot of maintenance. So it's great, so those are awesome. Obviously becoming a developer, that's a goal of elevated development, is actually to be building these sorts of things more on the commercial side. So you can go that route. And then also I put builder in there as well, because our projects are single family, but they also are somewhat considered commercial because we are building in bulk, I would say, or we're building communities, right? So we're building 6 townhomes at a time, 12 townhomes at a time. That kind of gets pushed more in the commercial realm, even though we are selling them as single family, residential homes. So again, the worlds can collide. You don't have to decide one way or the other. You can do a little bit of both when it comes to residential, commercial, and then active and passive. And there's a little example on the side of a little bit more about what the active side of commercial investing is versus the passive side. Is there any questions on commercial investing?
Number one, I just like to say that the number of people is growing.
Hey, yay! Welcome, people.
But I really like this graphic that you've created here. I think it's I think there's a lot of people that they think they're passive and they're not. Like, I thought we were passive in all of our single families because we have a management agency.
Right.
But then we got into like larger multifamily syndication deals. Those are truly passive. You just get your distributions.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
When I realized that, no, I'm still fielding calls from the management agency of, oh, you need a new roof. Oh, your AC just went out. Oh, you've got a leak. You've got a leak. I think we've got an issue with the foundation. I was like, this isn't as passive as I thought it was.
Right. Exactly. And that's, when you decide if you want to be more active or passive, you really have to look at the amount of time that, one, you have, and 2, that you want to put into this, right? I mean, we have a lot of people that are retired and they invest in our elevated development projects. It's not that they don't have the time to be more active. They just don't really want to, and I don't blame them. And they have a reliable development company that is managing all of the projects. So they're just going to sit back and wait for the returns. So, it's good to acknowledge that, because if you don't have a lot of time and you're trying to be active, it can be extremely, extremely frustrating. So you need to be realistic with yourself on the amount of time that you have when you're deciding. And then a lot of people that I know get into the business being more on the residential side and then the ultimate goal is to do commercial, right? And I would say one thing is I hear so many people say that, oh, well, I need to do residential first in order to understand commercial, in order to invest. Not necessarily. They're two very different investing strategies. So if you educate yourself on commercial and if you really have no desire to do a flip or have rental properties, why not just dive into the commercial side? As long as you are educating yourself and you're understanding what you are investing in, there really is no need to do residential, first. I think that's a misconception in the industry. But I obviously educate yourself on what you're getting yourself into. But I don't know, Angel, would you agree that you always hear people say that? I constantly hear people say that.
I think that it is much less frequent to meet people that go commercial first. I do know of people that, especially like in multifamily, that never did single family homes. They never did small multifamily from day one. They were big multifamily from day one. And for us, like we started in single family. Now we got some small multifamily, and now we're moving into the multifamily, the larger multifamily.
It's about your comfort level, right? I just don't like when people are like, oh, well, I never had a goal to even do single family. I've always wanted to do commercial, but I'm going to now put time, energy, and money into single family. Like, to me, that doesn't make sense. You're almost hindering your path, right? So
no, it's that misnomer of you like, especially like you have to start in single family first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I just don't believe that's true. And that's just my opinion, obviously.
Yeah. Unless one absolutely falls in our lap, we'll probably never buy another single family home.
Right.
Because you don't have to start there. Mm-mm. You don't have to finish there. You don't have to be there at all if that's not what you want.
Yeah. Exactly.
So Sharon Reed just wanted to say that she's both. She is active and passive.
Yes, she is. Sharon's awesome too, by the way. So she's also that. Cool.
So now I kind of feel like we're there too, just because even though we have a management agency, I still have to field those questions.
Yeah, absolutely. We're active and passive. We're mostly active, right? Because we're running these businesses and we're the boots on the ground. We also have passive investing that we do. Like we have private money that we lend out. It's IRA money, so we have to be passive. We can't go and swing hammers and be part of that. We're also invested in other businesses passively, where we don't do any of the day-to-day, right? So you can absolutely do both. I would encourage you to do both if that's something, just to get more of a return or whatever on your money. Obviously, make sure you trust the people that you're passively investing with, that they know what they're doing. But you should do that when you're actively investing with people anyways too. So you do your due diligence. So, okay, cool. All right. So now that you've determined what kind of investor you want to be, and please don't get too hung up on that. Like, I have to do this and I have to do, no, that's the great thing about real estate investing is you can kind of just like, you want to have pretty set goals and things like that, guidelines to follow, but you can evolve along the way. I have evolved immensely along my journey and it's changed constantly, and that's totally okay. So don't worry too much about it. Just really give some thought about the here and now and what makes sense for you. So step 2, goal setting. Okay. Understand your circumstances. So you're going to see the you and the your in caps and underlined a lot lately. Or a lot through my presentation, because it's so important that you're really looking at your circumstances, not the circumstances of other people, right? Everybody has different situations and circumstances. That's why I say it's so important to understand your time, right? That you have. We're going to talk about budgeting for your marketing campaign, and then, your goals, right? For what you want. Doesn't matter what anybody else is doing, okay? So understand your current circumstances, and that's going to help you in the goal setting. I like to set my personal goals first, and then I set my business goals alongside that, because a lot of times the personal goals will get pushed to the wayside if the business goals are set first. And your personal goals are extremely important, and that's what's going to keep you going on the tough days, right? So I definitely would say set those first. That's just how I do it, but I would encourage that as well.
And I really like that piece, because I think that especially as women, we are taught to care for others first. And so we push our own desires, our own self-care to the side, because for some reason it has been ingrained in us that self-care is selfish.
Yes.
And that's just not the case.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
guys can get away with putting themselves first all the time.
Yeah.
And they might get a little, you know, but they're not going to, nobody's going to come on them the same way that we feel like people are going to come on us. And some of that isn't even true. Some of it is an imagined attack, but it's just so ingrained.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And if you're say you set your business goals first and push your personal goals to the wayside, and you're doing all these things to build your business, but you're missing out on things that are personally important to you, you're going to end up resenting your business. You're going to go, well, why am I doing this? This isn't making me happy. I don't even get to achieve my personal goals. And you definitely don't want that. If anything, you need the exact opposite when you're building a business. This is not easy. And we're going to talk about that too. And so you really need to be like fully focused, and you need to feel fulfilled personally and professionally in what you're building. So I think it's so important to really look at the personal goals, when you're deciding your business goals. And then break down your goals, right? You want to create your long-term goals, obviously. And then you create short-term goals that help get you to your long-term goals. And those short-term goals, I would encourage them to be, monthly, weekly, daily. I have goals every day that I'm like, okay, today I have to achieve X, Y, Z. Like this has to get done today. And those in turn are helping me achieve my weekly goals, my monthly goals, my yearly goals, So as long as you're in line there, then you're going to be on a very good path. Now, if you're setting like I said, like a long-term goal of, I want to commercially invest and I really don't want anything to do in the result. And then your short-term goal is, I want to flip a property. Those are not really, aligned. And so you want to be careful there. So just make sure your short-term goals are getting you to your long-term goals. And then you make productive, smart daily choices that also help along that path. Okay. Because again, if you're not okay up here, you're not going to be able to execute properly. So, all right. Any questions about goal setting?
I am not. All right. So right now there's a group of people that are going through the 12-week year.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that book?
I've heard of it. I haven't read it, but I've heard of it. Mm-hmm.
So basically what it does is it takes, instead of operating in a 12-month year, you make each month a week so that you can't like have throwaway weeks.
I like it.
It's more every day is important.
Yeah.
And it talks about like the vision and the goal setting, and it makes every day important, which is kind of what I'm hearing you say too, is that every day you have to make sure that you're making conscientious choices that propel you toward your overall goals.
Absolutely.
So that might be, the 12-week year might be another resource for people if they're looking for something to help them understand that we can't have throwaway days.
Yeah.
You can have a bad day. A bad day is not the same thing as a throwaway day.
No, it's not at all. It's not at all. And I think too, having some self-care days, right? Where, you take a day to kind of decompress or whatever, because you're feeling super overwhelmed, is also important. It's just important those days don't become, 4 or 5 days out of the week that you're saying, I need another day to do, it's like, okay, you had your day or whatever. And a lot of times I'll even take half days. So like on the weekends, maybe I'll work a little bit in the morning, and maybe it's only an hour or two. Maybe what I need to get done that day only takes an hour or two. And the rest of the day, I'm enjoying it with Jason on a bike ride, or we're going on a walk or whatever else. So, I like to feel productive every day, and that can be different for every person. But I really like that. I need to read that book because that's cool. I want to start doing that. So yeah, when you start to make productive, smart daily choices, you'll also find yourself at the end of every day going, oh, wow, today was a really good day. I feel like I got a lot done. Maybe you didn't get everything on your to-do list done, but that usually happens sometimes, right? But if you feel like you had some productivity in your day and it's getting you to your goals, you're going to go to bed, like you're going to sleep much better at night. And I mean, I do anyways.
No, I 100% agree. Like, even if you only get, 3 out of 5 of the things done, you got stuff done.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's plenty of people out there that write their lists and get nothing done.
Yeah. And you'll even have days where, like yesterday, I had some, I don't even know if I got one thing on my actual to-do list, but I had some really exciting opportunities that was like, I had to jump on right away. And so that I went to bed last night and I was so pumped, and it didn't even matter that, like, you know, the to-dos that I had done, unless it's something like you have a closing that day or something and it's, there's a, you know, but it's, sometimes you have to be open and flexible to things changing, you know, but that doesn't mean that wasn't a productive day. You know, if I would have said, oh no, I can't do this opportunity, I might be missing out on a really, you know, a big opportunity, a big, what I'm pursuing now is my first portfolio deal. And that's huge. And I could have just been, no, I have all these other things on my plate, I can't deal with this right now. But you have to be open to kind of adjusting and adapting. And we're actually going to talk a little bit about that too.
So Sharon is asking, do you use, or what do you use to keep track of your goals? Do you have a journal?
Yes. So I have a journal. Actually, that's something I started doing with my Miracle Morning routine, and I love it. And I do affirmations and things like that. So I kind of, you know, remind myself of the things I want to achieve, and then that helps fuel my day. And the program or resource that I use to help track my to-dos and my goals, I have both on here, is something called Trello, Trello. And I love it. You have different boards. And so I have a board for Guideway Investment Partners. I have a board for Elevated. I have a board for Level Up. I have a board for the Women's Real Estate Investor Alliance. Like, and each of those has to-dos, and then you can move them over to the done when they're done. You can move them over to doing while you're doing. And then I have my goals that are also right there at my fingertips that I can be reminded of every day. It's so easy to use. It's on my desktop. It's on my laptop. It's on my phone. So if I'm out and about and I'm like, ooh, I need to remember to do this, I just plug it into my phone and it's on there. And you can set dates and everything. It's a friend introduced it to me, and it's been a game changer. So those are the tools that I use.
Yeah, we're interested in, well, I'm interested in looking at Trello. We use Asana right now, but I hear so many good things about Trello.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for every one person that's using Asana, there's like 10 using Trello.
It's awesome. It's really, it's a great, great resource. I'm really liking it a lot. And I've only been using it for like, I don't know, maybe a month.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I feel, because all the stuff that's in my head is now finally put somewhere, right? I did like a brain dump on a piece of paper, and then I categorized it and put it into Trello. And it just makes me feel like I'm not constantly going, oh, I have to remember to do that, and I have to remember that, and I have to remember that. Oh yeah, I had that goal, and did I make that goal? And like, I feel a little bit more sane with the help of these things. So that's,
I can feel you on that.
thank you, right? All right, let's move on.
She said exactly know what you're feeling.
Yes, right? It's a lot. It is a lot. So it's a great place to put it so it doesn't disappear and it's still there. And, you know, I love the feeling of moving it over to the done category is like, yay, you know, so it's good. So I enjoy that. So, okay, cool. So let's move on to step 3, which is setting expectations. Again, for yourself, no one else, okay? So important to never compare yourself to others. And I say, especially on social media, because that's where I personally find myself going, oh man, look what they're doing. And how are they doing that? And, da, da, da. And you can't do that because you don't know their circumstances, their situation, what they've been through. And honestly, you don't even know if what they're showing you is for real, to be perfectly honest. I hope that what they are is, but it's just, it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. All that you need to focus on is your journey and your goals and your path. So just always remember that, to set the expectations for yourself. And that's where you understand, acknowledge your circumstances, right? Be realistic. Please be realistic. I feel like when we first started this, we set goals. I mean, they were beautiful. They were massive. And I don't even know if we reached like one of them, to be quite honest. Like, it was just like, when we got to the end of the year, we're like, oh my gosh, that's because they were so insane. Like, we were very excited to be doing this, right? Which is not a bad thing. But then when you reach the end of the year and you didn't reach any of your goals, or you only met one of them, you're feeling like a failure. And that's not a good way to go into another year, right? And so start small and build up. And that's really what we've done. And it's like, total game changer. I have on my whiteboard, I have a monthly goals. And then, like I said, I have like weekly things that I'm doing, and I'm starting small. I'm not, oh, I'm going to take over the world and real estate, in 5 years. Like, no, that'd be awesome. But it's just, I'm being much more realistic with myself, and I'm finding I'm not feeling like I'm failing at anything. Right. It's so important to understand that this is not easy. It does not happen overnight, but it is 100% possible. Right. I feel like a lot of people hear kind of the gurus talk and, oh yeah, you just send this yellow letter and they'll get a call and then you'll get a contract and then you'll get a closing and you'll make $50,000. No, that's not how it happens. Sorry if I'm bursting anybody's bubble. And if that is how it happened for you, freaking awesome. Like, way to go. That's definitely not how it happened for me and most people that I talk to. Be prepared to feel uncomfortable a lot, right? I promise you, if you stick with it, it will happen. And I'm kind of like proof of that. Like, we're still in this. Elevated is only a year old, or a year and a half now, and we're still figuring it out. And I feel like we didn't really even get to a place where I felt like really comfortable and confident in this, and until like 3 years in. And I don't say that to scare people. I say that to just like be realistic about things. And some people get there quicker than others, and that's cool. And some people it takes a little while, but we have made a dedication to ourselves and our businesses that we will continue no matter what. And let me tell you, I have been more uncomfortable in the last 4 years than I have ever been in my entire life. But it's also presented an extremely amazing growth opportunity for me. I am way more confident than I've ever been. I've never thought I'd be an entrepreneur, ever, 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 ever. I never thought I would want to do anything in real estate. And now it's like, I love waking up every day. I love building these businesses. I love working with the people that I do. It's just incredible. And if I wouldn't have been willing to be uncomfortable, I would have never experienced all of this. Yeah. So it's just something so important to acknowledge. And your growth is more important than really anything. So,
well, and I think it comes back to also the idea of, yeah, you're going to be uncomfortable for a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Because your comfort zone catches up so quickly.
It really does. And the more you do it, the quicker it catches up. The quicker you're like, oh yeah, okay, that's uncomfortable. That didn't go the way that I wanted it to. But okay, how can we tweak it and make it better and do it instead of sitting there sulking for a week going, oh, my marketing campaign failed or whatever. The more you go through it, the more you learn and the more you grow and like tweak and are able to bounce back quicker. So absolutely, awesome. For sure. Program your mind to look for opportunities. I think that's part of it, right? Because throughout this, you are going to stumble. You're going to quote unquote fail. I don't fail, because when you quit is the only time that you fail. I call those growth opportunities. And let me tell you, like, I've learned a lot. So, but I program myself to look for the opportunities, and that's, how we create what we want for ourselves. So even when I fail, that's an opportunity to learn from whatever it was I did incorrectly, or maybe I just didn't do anything incorrectly and it just didn't work out, whatever. So, just look at it a little bit differently than, oh, these are failing and this isn't working and I'm terrible at this. No. If you say those things, that's how your reality is going to be. So take those words out of your vocabulary. They do not exist. And in order to stay positive, you need to celebrate the small wins along the way. So I closed a wholesale deal a couple weeks ago, and Jason and I went out for a sushi dinner. It's something just really small that we celebrated, and it was awesome. And that's what gets you through the tough days and keeps you going, is celebrating the small wins along the way. And then understand and accept it's okay for your goals to change, right? So my goals have changed dramatically since when we first started this. And I love that. I love that I'm understanding my true passion in this business and what it is that I want to do along the way. And because of that, new opportunities have been brought to me, or I've created that I never even thought was possible, which I'm going to talk about one at the end that I'm really excited about to share. So, but it's just really cool to adapt and change along the way. And then most importantly, give yourself some grace. Like, you're not going to know everything overnight. You're not going to be successful overnight. This all isn't just going to happen overnight. Give yourself some grace for the learning curve and just do your best and keep going. That's really what you need to do, is keep going. So. All right. Okay. Step 4, determining your marketing campaigns. All right. So we're finally going to talk about marketing campaigns. But I hope the other stuff was very helpful as well, because that is so important when you are determining your marketing campaigns and executing your marketing campaigns. So when you determine your marketing campaigns, we talked about make sure they align with your goals, right? So if you want to be a commercial investor, maybe don't buy a pre-foreclosure list of single family homes and start cold calling those. Make sure they are in line with each other and you are on the right path. Okay. We talked about time and money. So that's a big thing when you're looking at your marketing budget. You want to create a budget because you don't want to throw a bunch of money that you don't have in a marketing campaign and then it fails and then you're like, oh crap, what just happened, right? If you have more time than money, then do the things that have the little clocks next to them, right? If you have more money than time, then maybe do the things that have more dollar signs. There's not a right or wrong way to do it. It's just being realistic with yourself and understanding the resources that you have right now in front of you. When we first started, we had all the time in the world and not a lot of money. And so we did driving for dollars. We did door knocking. We did cold calling, right? We did all the things we did a ton of networking. That was probably one of the best things we ever did, by the way. But we did the things that didn't require a lot of money, right? And then now that we're acquiring, we're building our businesses, we're able to then invest in other ways that we just are the money and we're not doing the time. And that's the passive side of things that we were talking about earlier. So these are just some examples of marketing campaigns, probably the most popular marketing campaigns out there. You can do any of them. And again, I would just look at what makes sense for you right now. I have done all of them except for, I guess you could count online. Like I do social media posts. Now we have a website. Okay, so I've done all of them. And I will say majority of the ones that I've done were not successful. Direct mail was not successful. Door knocking was successful in that I learned a bunch, but I didn't, the amount of time spent versus the profit made didn't align. And then bandit signs weren't successful for me. Driving for dollars wasn't successful for me. And that's just me, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about why the marketing campaigns didn't work in a minute. Well, actually, no, let's talk about it right now, where it says choose 1 to 2 campaigns maximum as a new investor. That was my biggest takeaway from when I started is we tried, I think, doing 4 or 5 marketing campaigns at once. We were doing too little of too much. And so just sending 100 yellow letters is not going to cut it, right? Door knocking 5 doors isn't going to cut it. Cold calling 10 people isn't going to cut it. So that's where we scaled it down. And now I focus on 1 to 2 marketing campaigns. Even as an experienced investor, I only do 1 to 2 marketing campaigns at a time. My marketing campaigns right now are cold calling and basically, I guess you could say social media because I do posts and networking. That's all that I do, okay? Not so much with the COVID stuff, but you can network on social media. But that's all that I do. When I door knocked, that was the only thing that I focused on, door knocking and networking. I always can throw networking in there. And let me tell you, the marketing campaign success and what I learned along the way just was so much different than trying to do 4 or 5 at a time. You can't track them. You're not doing enough of them. You get frustrated. It's just too much. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there doing all of these that are probably more experienced and they have teams and they have resources and all of that. And you can definitely get there. But in the beginning, choose 1 to 2 campaigns max for sure. So yeah, any questions about that or any comments or anything?
Maricela kind of backed up a little bit and she just wanted to say that in the military, they use Trello for medical missions.
Oh, cool.
She said she's hearing that she needs to implement it in her REI business, and thank you for that.
Yes, you do. It's great. I mean, if they're using it there, then it must be pretty good, right?
It must be pretty effective.
Yeah.
So one of the things that my husband and I have been looking at, so we said we'd never do another single family home. I know I said it just a few minutes ago, but we recently learned about how to do sub 2.
Yes.
And in our own neighborhood, we've been noticing like which houses don't have their yards mowed. because people are mowing their yards like 2 and 3 times a week right now.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of, on our walks, we look and we're like, hey, let's remember this address.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we've never done a sub-2. So sometimes it's kind of like, are we chasing a shiny object, or is this something that we might really want to look at?
It's a great opportunity. That's how Jason and I are going to build our rental portfolio, is sub-2 deals.
Well, I was thinking back on your goals when you were like, be willing to have some flexibility in them.
Absolutely.
And, I do think everything happens for a reason. And we just happened to go to an in-face REI meeting a couple of weekends ago. And the guy that was talking about sub-2s.
Yeah. It's an awesome strategy. And that's what, never say never, because you don't know what you don't know. And then you could go to something like that and you're like, oh, what? I want to know about that. Doesn't mean you're going to do it right this second. Like notes is something for me. I want to learn about notes, but I'm not going to do that right now. I don't have the time to put into that right now, but it's something I'm curious about, right? So never say never, be open to anything, all of that. So that's cool. Awesome. Okay. So
Sharon says subject to is how we are building our rentals with our self-directed IRAs.
Yep. Absolutely. It's an amazing strategy. And most of my buyers, that's how I get my properties that I wholesale is sub-2, and almost all my buyers, that's what they want. So it's important to know that too. If you're a wholesaler, know what your buyers want and go after that. But yeah, it's awesome. So cool. Okay. So now you have determined your marketing campaign, right? So you choose 1 to 2 of these based on your goals. You've set your expectations, all of that. So now you need to choose which lists you want to purchase. And this is always kind of a tough one for people. I would say the one I want to point out for me personally that I had a struggle with was the probate list. And we tried that from the very beginning. And what I didn't really know, and maybe that was just the particular list that we bought, but the list that we bought, most of the properties hadn't actually gone through the probate process yet. So there was an executor, and that process can take months. I mean, it can take a long time. So for me, probate, I just automatically think long-term lead generation. There's usually a lot of errors involved, or you have to find them or whatever else. So it's not a quick, and other people could have had probate situations that are super quick, right? But the list that we had, I think we didn't vet it well enough because we were new and we didn't know. And so for whatever reason, I don't really like probate anymore, which actually though, I just put an offer on a probate house the other day, and we're waiting to see if it's accepted, but that is already through the probate process, and there we can move forward with it. So, if you have some time and you're okay, nurturing leads, then probate might be a good one. But these are just some of the most common lists: pre-foreclosure, non-owner occupied, tax delinquent, bankruptcy, etc. You can find these lists so many places. You can get Real Estate IQ. I don't know if Propelio has lists. There's so many list providers out there, and some of them even sell all the lists. You could get all of these if that's something of interest. Now, I would try to still hone in on 1 or 2 that you're going to really target. Don't try to mail to all of them or cold call all of them or whatever. If you do, you better have really good systems in place to track this. Because that's the thing about your marketing campaigns. You want to make sure you're tracking them to know what's working and what's not. And if you're doing too many, it's really difficult to stay on top of that. And then you don't know what's working and you just end up throwing money away. And I say that from experience. I lived that, and it was very frustrating. And I know many other investors that can relate to that as well. It's kind of what you do in the beginning. It's like your rite of passage or something. I don't know. It's one of those stripes that we earn. So these lists, honestly, you can literally find so many places. Vet your list provider. That's what we didn't really do with our probate list. Some of the people I called didn't even have properties. I'm like, why are you on this list? So vet your list provider. I definitely vet mine after that. Some of them will supply phone numbers for you, all of that. So just make sure you understand what you're purchasing. And then, you'll be able to utilize it in the best way. So
right, we've got a question. Oh, it was what was mentioned about Trello. I already took care of that one.
Okay. Everybody loves Trello. It is. It's awesome. So, okay. So you've created your goals. You set your expectations. You've chosen your marketing plan or plans. Remember, 1 to 2. Now it's time to take massive, massive, massive action. And this is where you're going to really see your marketing campaigns blossom. You know, unfortunately, I know a lot of people that get super excited about this and they get the education for real estate investing and then they're about to deploy their marketing campaigns and then they just don't. Something comes up, they find an excuse, and basically then they're wondering, I don't understand why nothing is happening. Well, you're not doing anything you need to do in order to get results. So don't second guess yourself. What's the worst that can happen, right? You fail, right? Your marketing campaign goes kaput. Okay, that's happened to me multiple times and I'm still doing what I'm doing. It's fine. You tweak and you adjust and you move forward, okay? You can't complain about results you didn't create. I can't tell you how many times people have come up to me at networking events and they're like, Missy, what is it that you're doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm door knocking. Is that it? Yeah. Like, well, what are you doing? Let's talk about your marketing campaigns. Well, I was going to start this one and then this happened and then I was going to do that and then that happened. I'm like, you can't complain if you're not doing anything. I'm sorry to tell you this, but so
it's so hard to take that first leap though. Once you've taken it,
it really
gets a lot easier, but I think it's that fear of rejection. It's that fear of messing up, of, you know, falling flat on your face and thinking that the whole world is watching you when they're really not.
No, nobody is watching you. You are watching yourself. And let me tell you, you will mess up. You will fall flat on your face. Your campaigns will fail. And you will learn from every single time that happens, because that has happened to me multiple times. I learned every single time. I made my campaigns better. I made the necessary adjustments. And that's how I learned everything there is to know about pre-foreclosures and what I'm doing, right? And now I'm able to launch successful campaigns, build a team to help me. And that allows me to help more families avoid foreclosure, right? When I started door knocking pre-foreclosures, I didn't know really anything. I was like, I'm just going to knock on these people's doors. And I have a network of people that can help me figure this out. I know I'm good with people. I want to help people. This sounds like the right thing to do. And I did it for 9 months straight. And I know everything there is to know about pre-foreclosures now. I can help people in ways I never even thought possible. And that's because I went and I did and I learned along the way. I didn't need to know everything. You're never going to know everything. So don't get stuck in analysis paralysis, right? Just start doing, and you have an amazing network. You have my email right there that you can email, and I help people all the time. I partner with people all the time. Use the resources, use the network around you. One thing that I tell myself is that failure is not an option, right? I never give up. When you give up and you quit, that's when you fail. Okay. So that is just not an option. I completely take it off the table. And then I don't have all the mental drama of, well, I'm going to launch this and it's going to fail. Well, when you say that, yeah, that's what's going to happen, right? I'm going to launch this and I'm going to kick ass at it. And if it does not go the way that I want, I'm going to tweak it and I'm going to do it again and again and again. That's the mentality that you need, right? So yeah, always be thinking, what's the next action that you can take, right? Whether it's tweaking your current marketing campaign or exploring other marketing campaigns. Like I said, I've done quite a few and I've finally found, you know, what kind of works for me. So
Ashley is asking, she says, how do you keep yourself motivated during the failures?
good question. You know, that has definitely been a work in progress for me. I am a perfectionist. I've always been a very high achiever, straight A student, you know, never really failed at anything. And building this business, like I said, it's been the hardest thing I've ever done. And I say what motivates me is, obviously you should always have your why, right? Why do you do this? Why do you want to build this business? Coming back to that, and then taking something from the quote unquote failure or the tough days, like, oh, you lost a deal. Well, why did I lose that deal? Well, the seller went with somebody else. Why did the seller go with somebody else? What did the other person have to offer that I couldn't offer, right? And really taking that and acknowledging that, and then making the necessary changes in your business, because then you grow and learn from it instead of looking at it as a failure. If you just look at it as a failure and sit and sulk, you're never really gonna like grow and learn from it. And it's not easy, and you're gonna have tough days. I still have tough days. Like, that's going to happen. But on those tough days, I really dig deep into why it is why is it, if I could talk, why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? I also have lots of podcasts that I listen to, mindset podcasts that have helped me immensely. I'm now working with a life coach that she's also helping me. I have books that I read, and audiobooks and all of that. So it's all up here in how you process the situation, right? You can control how you think about it. You may not be able to 100% control the outcome of your marketing campaign, but you can absolutely control the execution of it. And then you can control how you tweak and make it better. And I guarantee if you are doing those things, you will see really great results in your marketing campaign. It's when we get stuck in this isn't working, I can't do this, that's when
nothing ever works, blah, blah, blah.
That's when you fail, right? And so you may not be able to, we sent 5,000, when we first moved to Houston, we sent 5,000 postcards out to flooded properties, or the owners of flooded properties. We got one phone call.
Wow.
One phone call. We moved to Houston to flip flood properties, and we did that marketing campaign to start and got one phone call. That was devastating. I was like, what the hell did we just do? But it was like, nope, that's okay. And we adjusted. We had a moment of holy crap. And then it was like, no, okay, what are we going to do? Okay, I'm going to go door knock. I'm going to go to these neighborhoods where there's flooded properties, and I'm going to go talk to these people, right? We adjusted and we made it better. So there's just always a way to navigate around the failure mentality where, like I said, I take it completely off the table. Failure is just not an option. Giving up is not an option for me. And it's really helped me stay focused and motivated along the way. So I hope that helps you a little bit as well. So
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We've got another question. David Johnson wants to know who provides your probate list.
Oh, hey, David. I don't remember who it was because that was almost 4 years ago. So I don't remember who we bought the list from, actually, or if they're even still around. So I apologize. You don't want to buy that list anyways, unless they made it way better. But yeah, I don't know. I know when we were at the tail end of like deciding if we wanted to continue, they were making really big tweaks so that there were for sure people that had properties. But yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head which list provider that was. So sorry.
I was thinking PropStream, but I don't think PropStream is a list provider.
I'm not sure. I
pulled it up on my phone real quick to look, but I don't think.
There's so many out there now.
Yeah.
So one of the most important things also is to make sure you run each campaign for a minimum of 3 months, and I would say a maximum of 9 months. There's so many people that will go door knocking for a week and they don't get a deal, and they're like, oh, this didn't work, I'm terrible at this, No. That's not how that works. You need to give your campaign time to be successful. And then you also need to give yourself time to learn along the way and make the necessary tweaks, right? So none of my campaigns are less than 3 months. I usually go anywhere from 6 to 9 months on my campaigns. Now I have at the month mark, I will evaluate it and see how it's going and make the necessary tweaks. And I'll do that again, every month or whatever, every 3 months if it's going well. But yeah, so many people give up after a week, 2 weeks, a month. And that's just not enough time to give your campaign, time to succeed. It's just not. So make sure you track the campaigns. We're going to talk a little bit about setting yourself up for success, getting organized, and then make the necessary adjustments along the way, right? And then the biggest one at the bottom, do not stop until you get what you want. That's where you take the failure off the table and you only focus on what's the next action I can take in order to make this marketing campaign better. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Okay. Step 6, which is probably one of the most important steps in your campaign other than getting your mind right. That's obviously number 1. This one, follow up again and again and again and again and again and again, because that is where your deal flow is going to come. It's pretty unlikely that, I've gotten contracts on the spot, but the likelihood of those closing has not been very good, right? So you want to be sure to be persistent and follow up, Be confident when you're talking to these people, even if you feel like I don't even know what they're talking about. Well, guess what? You have my email right there. You can reach out to me and you go, Misty, I need help with this lead. I don't know what this person is talking about. And you have you have this whole group, right? That can help with that. So be confident, because if you show any sign of, oh, I don't really know what they're saying and crap, like they're not going to trust you. They're going to go, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, or this girl doesn't know what she's talking about, right? So just be confident no matter what. You have the answers, maybe not right then and there, but you have them in the network around you. Super important to build rapport. And I do a lot of that in the follow-up. You know, if they have a dog, maybe let's talk about the dog. Maybe you see a picture of grandkids on the mantle if you're at a house or something like that. Build rapport, understand what their needs are, understand what their pain points are, and try to solve the problems that they're having. And that's really how you build rapport. I've had people choose me over other investors when I was offering less monetarily than the other investors were, because of the rapport that I built. They trusted me, right? So they were willing to take a little bit less and go with me because they trusted me over the person who was supposedly going to give them more money.
Nice.
So rapport building is extremely, extremely important. Now, to do that, you have to have a ton of patience. Some deals may take days, months, years. I mean, we've been working some deals for years. And they finally pan out, or maybe they don't, you know, but have the patience, be calm. Also, some sellers may be difficult. There's a lot of difficult sellers out there. They think their house is worth $1 bazillion. They don't understand that they're about to lose their house to auction and they've got it figured out and they're just going to stay there. Whatever the reason is, just have patience with them, because selling a home is a very big decision, right? So have the patience with them and build a rapport, and I promise that you will get somewhere very quickly with them. Okay, so get organized. So these are some of the systems that I was talking about. You don't have to have all these things figured out in the beginning. I definitely didn't. I actually just recently in the last year have started putting my systems like properly in order. So what's called a customer relationship management system is CRM. What I use is Podio. And it's wonderful. And you have a free version if you want to. I have multiple joint venture partnerships with other wholesalers, and they're all plugged into my Podio system. So it's all organized, where all the leads are with who, you know, if I got leads with Joe, they're all in one workspace, right? So that really helps me stay focused. And then you can tie your marketing campaigns to that as well. So then you can track those. Autoresponders, whether it's text, whether it's emails, voicemail drops, those sorts of things, make sure you have those so that when you're making all your cold calls and somebody doesn't answer, at least they're getting a follow-up text or a follow-up voicemail, right, with your information. Another option is to build a team. Now, I wouldn't do this in the very beginning because you don't probably know enough to really train and build your team effectively. But this is something I'm doing, right? I'm almost 4 years in. I'm trying to build a team of cold callers. I'm hiring my first VA this month. I'm very, very excited about it. And yeah, it's huge. Like, I'm so pumped. I need help. And so I feel confident to train her or him and you know, have that VA make the cold calls for me. I also want to build a door knocking team, because I feel like everything that I learned when I door knocked, I want to share that with others, and I think it'd be really fun. And I'm just a team person. That's why I love real estate, because we partner with people, and it's just so much fun. So those are some things that you can do to help yourself get better organized. And then give your marketing campaigns time to work, like we talked about, minimum of 3 months, maximum of 9 months, so that you and your campaigns can grow and learn along the way. And then obviously never give up, right? Success truly is in the follow-up. And I think they say it takes like somewhere between 6 to 9 touches with a seller to actually get like a contract. And people give up usually around, I want to say it's touch 3, if I remember that correctly. So you're, you know, close, like you're not that far off. 3 more calls that you could have made could have gotten you a contract that you then, you know, gave up on, right? So keep that in mind. It's not you call, pick up the phone, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'll sell you my house. Cool. Send over the contract. Like, that happens, but not all the time. So be prepared to do the follow-up. And also, be prepared to accept the calls. Like when you launch your campaigns, I know investors that spend all this money on beautiful campaigns and they launched whatever it was, direct mail or whatever, you know, and then they weren't ready to take the calls. Their phone started going and they're like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, I don't know what to say. And all those leads just went to waste. And I'm like, no. So be ready. And actually don't be ready. Just pick up the phone. Just answer the phone. You know way more than you're giving yourself credit for. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. You know more than these people that are calling you. And if you don't, you have an amazing network that can help you. Gather whatever info you can, let them know you're going to call them back. You know, it's really not, we blow it up into something that it does not need to be 100%. And I'm totally guilty of doing it. Like I would psych myself out like crazy when I was door knocking and cold calling. And then I finally was like, get over yourself, Misty. Like, this is silly. You're never going to learn. You're never going to grow this business if you're terrified to, you know, call somebody or knock on a door.
So we've got a few questions here. David says, how did you select what changes you needed to make after that 5,000 letters?
Well, that particular one, we had already done direct mail in Austin and it didn't work. And so we were a little apprehensive to do it. Now we'd never sent 5,000 at once. So we were like pumped. We're like, oh, this is going to work, you know? And then what we started to look at was we weren't sure if these, you know, a lot of these people were not staying in their homes, right? But they were going to their homes to get their mail, to check the status, all of that. And so we weren't really sure, like, was it actually reaching their homes? Were they not checking their mail? But honestly, after that, that's where we just decided direct mail was just not something we wanted to pursue anymore. And so we just completely stopped. And that's when I started door knocking. My first door knocking experience was door knocking flooded houses. It wasn't, well, actually I take that back. I door knocked pre-foreclosure properties in Austin, but it was one of those, like I door knocked, you know, 10 and was like, this doesn't work and silly. And then I came here and did it. And I did it for 9 months straight and became really, really good at it. So we just decided not to do direct mail. And that's where I put I'm like, I'm better in front of people anyways, or on the phone. So let's try that. So it's okay to actually say no more to a marketing campaign, but it's not okay to go no more and then not have a next plan of attack. That's really, you need to have another action plan ready to deploy. If you're going to say no more to one marketing plan, you need to have the second one ready to go.
All right. We have another one here. It's Varun Katarpal, I believe. I may be saying this wrong. And says, Misty, I've been doing this for 2 years. I relate to everything you were saying. Thank you for sharing this. I got some much needed support today. My name is Varun Katarpal, and yes, there are deals coming in for us to partner on. But funny, for my sellers, I am Mark. They can't seem to get my name in the first go. Is it bad to change your name?
No, I have people that I work with, partners that do that as well. If their name is a little bit difficult to pronounce or any of that, you know, it's really actually very normal. And I'm not sure where you are located, but obviously here in Houston, we have a very, very diverse community here. So I actually see that a lot. You know, people just changing their names and making it just a little bit easier to say over the phone. When you introduce yourself to people, it's extremely common. So I don't think that's strange at all. No.
Cool. And I'm going to come back to Virginia's because she's saying spell, please. Virginia, I'm not sure what you're wanting us to spell. If you could clarify in the chat, that would be awesome. And then Elizabeth Luna says, which autoresponders have you had the most success with?
Hey, Elizabeth. Gosh, autoresponders. You know, I really haven't had a lot of success with autoresponders. We've done text campaigns. They've not been great. I do know people that have done text campaigns and they've done amazing. So, you know, my goal is obviously when I was door knocking is to get people to open the door. My autoresponder that I used there was a door hanger. And we did get a lot of calls on our door hanger. So that to me is an autoresponder because you're leaving something for them. So we did get a lot of those. And now I have a voicemail drop. I don't get a lot of calls from it, but I am getting a lot of answers. I don't know if it's because people are home because of the COVID thing or whatever, but I'm getting a lot of people answering the phone, which is even better because then I can just start talking to them right away. But a lot of people, depending on the situation, will actually like to prefer to text, because if they're talking about a pre-foreclosure or something uncomfortable, they may not feel comfortable having a phone conversation. So I always follow up with a voicemail and a text. But I'm getting a lot of people answering, so I haven't really had to put a lot of emphasis on my autoresponders. So I don't have a great answer for that question, unfortunately. But I have heard people have a lot of success with texting campaigns.
Cool. Varun says he is in Dallas.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Dallas is pretty diverse too. I think any big city that you're in, I think that's going to be pretty common that people may tweak their name a little bit. And I'm not sure if you're worried about then on the contract, if it's going to look differently, or
I didn't think
of that. I don't, it kind of depends on there. I have a partner that I work with. His name is Eichel, and his last name is Seymour, and he goes by Seymour with sellers that we talk to, because it's just easier. It took me a while to pronounce his name correctly. But I think if you explained that to them, this is because I feel like it's very common these days, just with how diverse, all of our cities are and communities are, that people will kind of, do a little bit of a name change to make it a little easier for people to pronounce or whatever. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, is basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I'm kind of answering too. And then let's see. I just missed. David put another one on here and I can't find it. Dang it. I know I saw it, but I won't. David, we didn't answer your question. If you want to type it back in here, I don't know what happened to it.
We'll get it. So I just wanted to touch on some other avenues to find deals, because, your way is not the only way. Like we talked about, you want to be open to other opportunities, never say never. Also, with the current situation, the way that it is with COVID-19 and all of that, it's really important to be able to adapt and to change, and tweak your business so that your business doesn't go under, right? So one of the things, I'll be real honest, my business is pre-foreclosures, and when all this COVID-19 stuff started happening, the foreclosure auctions were postponed, and it freaked me out, because I know that pre-foreclosure sellers or homeowners don't necessarily always want to be sellers until they have to be. And if there's not an auction date knocking at their door, they don't really take action. And I was basically like, well, what am I going to do? Nobody's going to want to sell, and my whole business is going to go under. I'm not going to make any money. We don't know how long this is going on. I mean, I went in a full-blown tailspin, and thank God for my life coach who reamed me back in and helped me with that. But I started looking at other lists, and okay, I can do other lists, or I can do this or whatever, and actually ended up taking the last few months to get my business in order, to scale it. And that's why now I am able to bring on a VA, and I'm able to successfully joint venture. Like, I have systems in place where I know exactly what properties I'm joint venturing with others. So I actually took the time to just kind of restructure my own business and get it ready to scale. So that's why I put adapt on there, because it's really important that things are going to change, right? It's just the way the world is, and you have to be able to adapt and change with it. And then in order to do that, you always need to educate yourself. So stay on top of, what's going on. I've noticed I can't be on every webinar to learn everything, because then I won't get anything done. So I'm really trying to just hone in and focus on, okay, my marketing campaign is cold calling and pre-foreclosures right now. So if there's webinars that pertain to that, okay, let's jump on that, right? But if the notes, learning about note buying and whatever, that's going to have to wait. But I'm still open to it. But yeah, I think it's just really important. So those are just a few other ones. Obviously, talking to friends and family is always great, because you never know who in your friends and family circle might want to sell, or, might be facing pre-foreclosure and is too scared to talk to anybody about it. I would say auctions, if you're going to go that route, be careful, because some people buy properties at auctions and don't really understand what they're buying, and they don't have clean title, and then you got to deal with liens, and it's then maybe not a deal. So as a new investor, I would say maybe steer clear of options, but it's definitely a route to go at some point if that's something you want to consider. But just kind of educate yourself before you go down that road. So those are just some other avenues to go down.
David's question too. He said,
Okay.
could you repeat the process you use when you call a homeowner who doesn't answer? You said something about texting them, and then he followed it up with, have you ever tried a texting campaign?
Right. So if a homeowner doesn't answer, I use what's called Mojo Dialer, and I have a pre-recorded voicemail that's in it, and it will drop the voicemail. So and then it'll just basically drop the voicemail, and then it starts calling the next phone number. So it's just a pre-recorded voicemail that's just like, hey, this is Misty, give me a call, or whatever. And then I'll follow it up with a text message as well. Hey, it's Misty, if you give me a call or shoot me a text when you can, right? And that's really what I do. And sometimes I get a response and sometimes I don't. I actually get a lot more calls back just like right away. Like they probably didn't even listen to the voicemail. They're just like, oh, I missed a call. Who is this? So that's kind of the process. And I did do a texting campaign actually for the flood houses. And I did actually get quite a few responses there. But we didn't really pursue that. Basically, we started with flood houses and then we were brought all these opportunities for new construction, and that's really what we wanted to do. So we kind of stopped the flood house thing and ventured into new construction. So we didn't do a ton of marketing in that realm, but that's really the only main texting campaign I've ever done. My texts now are like follow-up texts, not necessarily a campaign, where I know people that do strictly like, they don't cold call, they just go straight to texting. And so that's something to do, especially nowadays people, they don't like to be on the phone. They like to text. So it's definitely something.
A couple of comments. Sharon just wanted to say she just got Podio and started using it and is loving it. And then David just wanted to say thank you.
Awesome. Yes.
I've never heard of Mojo Dialer, but that sounds like a pretty awesome thing.
Yeah, you can set up like a one-line dialer, which is what I have. And then you can move to a 3-line dialer. So it'll actually dial 3 like phone numbers at the same time, and whoever picks up first, that's what it pushes you to. I'm just learning the 1-line dialer first. I'm taking baby steps on that, but it's really been awesome because I don't have to dial anything. Like with CallRail before, I had to like literally dial the phone number every time. With Mojo Dialer, I import a list and it pops. Look at me giving away all my secrets. I love it. I'm like, there is so much real estate out there for everybody. I love it. So secrets, here you go. But yeah, you import a list into it, and then you basically will just start calling that list. And it uses my CallRail number, so it's not my personal number, and it records the calls too, so you can go back and listen to them. So it'll just start dialing. If somebody doesn't answer, it dials the next one, so you can do, I want to say it's like 60 or 80 calls in an hour or something like that. I mean, yeah. And the 3 dialer one, I think you can make like 120 calls in an hour. It's crazy. So if you're cold calling, you should definitely have some sort of, there's other tools out there too, same thing, similar. But if you don't have something like that and you're just doing this, no, it's going to take you forever. Because it's a volume thing. All of these marketing campaigns is a volume thing. I try to make at least 100 calls a day. And it's all about volume. And before it was really difficult. I was like, God, I can only make like 20 calls a day. And that's just not going to get me where I need to be in my marketing campaigns. It's all volume. That's why direct mail, if you're going to do it, send a bunch. Don't just send 10 letters or 100 letters. Send 1,000, bandit signs. Don't just put out 2 or 3, put out, 100, whatever. So it's a volume game in all of this, but only do what you can afford. Don't go crazy and spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on marketing campaigns that you can't afford. So, okay. Steps 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. Never give up, right? This is where I feel like all of our marketing campaigns have potential for failure, is that we give up. So make the small efforts, be patient with the process, focus on the path, not the destination. I promise you, if you do this, you will get there. It may not be the journey that you thought you were going to take, but it'll probably be a better journey than you even expected. And that's been my journey. And yes, it's been a crazy one and a frustrating one. But it's also been absolutely amazing. It really has. you think you see people where they just show all the success, like this iceberg, right? And nobody understands what we go through as entrepreneurs. And this is not a business for the weak. I mean, there is a reason that not everybody is a successful multi-million-dollar real estate investor. If it was that easy, everybody would be. This is hard, and it tests you in ways never even thought possible, but it's also so incredible, and I literally wouldn't change a thing. Even all the failures and all the mess ups and all the whatever, I wouldn't change any of it, to be honest, because it's got me to where I need to be. Now I have a very clear focus and path, and that I'm so excited about. And I've met amazing people along the way. I have amazing partnerships. I've helped so many families stop foreclosures. I've helped I've helped new investors start their businesses. It's just an incredible thing to be a part of and journey to be on. So just don't give up. Like, if you want this, if you truly want this, don't ever give up, because it's possible. It really is. 100%. Yay.
I'm sorry. David says, that's a great graphic of the iceberg. Are you selling it?
Right? I mean, it's so true. It's just like, oh my gosh, I love it. Like, it's so true. So true. Perfect. All right. Is there any other questions?
I am looking. I'm just, while people are thinking of questions, if they're coming, I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do an amazing job. Every time you do any of these presentations, they're so well thought out and well put together. And I just love your presentations, and I love the way you're willing to be a part of the Academy Presents and just
absolutely.
To help people. And
yeah, no, it's been so much fun, and I love to present. I've been one of those weirdos from when I was a kid that I'd get up and, at Christmas, and we'd put on skits for the family, and I'm clearly not a shy person, but it's more about sharing my experience. And I feel like so many people don't share the honest journey that they're on and the hard stuff. And man, there's just so much I've learned from the hard stuff. And I want to share it because I want to tell people that it's not easy, and it's not all unicorns and rainbows every day. And I also want to share my experience, hey, don't do 4 to 5 marketing campaigns at a time. Learn from my mistakes, right? Because it's just so important. And I know so many people feel alone when they're, quote unquote, failing at building these businesses, and you're not at all. We've all been there. I don't care how successful you are in real estate investing, you have been where they have been, where you are feeling right now. Absolutely 100%. So don't ever feel like you're alone. Don't ever feel defeated. I love this community. That's why we created the Women's Real Estate Investor Alliance. It's a great community to be a part of, and I'm honored to be a part of your community. And so thank you for having me. That's kind of what my last slide is basically just a thank you for allowing me to be part of your real estate journey. And I try to think every day of what I'm grateful for. And, today I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak and to share my journey. And hopefully people got some great tips and tricks and things that can help build their marketing campaigns, and not only build them, but launch them successfully and keep them going, because that's, it's kind of easy to pick a marketing campaign. The tough part is launching it and executing and keeping going, basically. That's kind of the tough one. So, and then sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I kind of talked a little bit about brought it up a couple times. So I have a life coach now, and she's amazing. I've been working with her for about 6 months, and she focuses on women in real estate. And she has been a complete game changer to my business. And so we have decided to team up to offer, we're going to be offering a free webinar on July 16th from 4 to 5. And we're going to actually talk openly and honestly about why people aren't taking action in their real estate investing businesses, and then obviously how to make the necessary changes. I am so excited about this opportunity, and we're going to be putting together a program and everything to really not only address what's going on, but then, here is some call to action. Here is a game plan and some tools and resources to get you out of the rut and get you going. And so it's going to be extremely exclusive. It's only going to have 10 slots after July 16th. So you better log on July 16th if you want to be part of this program and sign up. But it's just, I have just seen myself, like I'm walking, talking proof of what she has helped me with. And we just thought, well, let's join forces and let's share this with other women in real estate. And so I just wanted to kind of, you know, share that with you guys. If that's something of interest, definitely friend me on Facebook if you haven't already. Become part of the Houston WREIA. We're going to be posting there about the webinar, and, you know, feel free to reach out to me. Obviously, I have my email on every slide, so I'm not worried. I want people to reach out. But I really feel so fortunate to have these platforms to speak about these things and to hopefully help people along in their real estate investing journey. Because I know people that have done the same for me, and it's amazing. And it's one of my passions. Like, I love helping people. It's my why.
And I think it's so important too, just when people are going through a hard spot, they always think they're the only person that's ever gone through it.
Yep.
And so I work really hard to let people know I'm kind of like an open book.
You are. I love that. I love
I
think other people do too. And that's how people can relate, is that you go, oh my gosh, they're real. Like, they're real. You know, they're feeling what I'm feeling. I'm not crazy. I'm not losing my mind. Like, it's okay. And I think people need more of that, especially these days. Like,
I just hate to see the hurt. And so I just open it up and put it out there so that people don't have to feel alone. Because that hurts so bad to feel like you're the only person that's ever gone through this crap.
It does. Absolutely. No, I love the platform that you've created and the honesty behind it. And I love being a part of it. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I've been fortunate enough to actually meet Misty and be at one of her alliance meetings, and the venue's awesome.
It's a beautiful venue, that's for sure.
Even if it has to be virtual right now, it will eventually be back.
I know, it's like, especially I'm going crazy because I love people. So I'm just like, what is happening? I need to be around
people. Extroverts right now. It's really hard for us extroverts.
Really hard, but we're getting through. We got these sorts of platforms, so it's helping. So that's good.
So, and I put several links out. I actually found a Bigger Pockets forum for how to get a list of houses in probate.
Cool.
I put that on there, and I put some of the other, like Trello and Podio. I try to get all the names and everything.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that. That's great.
So those are up there. Hopefully people got those. Looks like we have a question. Oh, just Elizabeth is saying, thank you, Misty, and miss you.
Oh, miss you too, Elizabeth. You're welcome. She's such a sweetheart. Oh, I love it. This is so fun. It's people. I'm just kidding.
Awesome. This has been an awesome one. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the live, and I'm going to stop the recording. Yeah. So I'm stopping.